To another edition of Newsnight, and the old man of the clan and also CEO of the independent magazine, Andrew Mwenda, joins me. Andrew, welcome. The key issue on the table again is the poll that came out in the Daily Monitor on Monday. There's many questions than answers that we've been provided probably in the last few days, both offline and online, based on the who actually asked for the research, commissioned the research, if you want to use statistics language, but also the credibility of the research by Ipsos or Sinovet, a research firm, actually an international research firm. Andrew, two things come to mind. One, there's been issues around who commissioned the research. The story that came out in the Monitor shows that the Monitor actually commissioned the research. We actually are discovering that probably that wasn't true. What are you hearing?
First of all, I should tell you, Maurice, you see, our countries, and this is what I tell younger journalists who are coming up, Uganda is failing in producing good journalists. Why? Because what we have in Uganda right now, we don't have professional journalists. We have hecklers, political activists, and things like that. Why would you
say that?
Let me explain to you.
You're part of this brand
yes,
of journalists.
By the way, I should tell you, I've never practiced the journalism I see in Uganda today.
And, why?
And that's
you
what I'm
part
going to
of
yes,
the
perhaps
same
because
industry.
that perhaps I'm made of a different stuff. You see, let me explain to you in a broader context. Let's begin with the broader context. We come to specifics. You see, in our countries, we have very low levels of the development of institutions that are supposed to investigate, cross-check, and establish facts. Because they're either absent or poorly developed. A rumor develops and is repeated, changed, twisted around, and then over time it develops a status of truth.
Yes.
If you're a person doing research in Uganda, but most especially in Congo, it's very difficult to establish what is the truth of a subject, because rumors, although they may originally contain truth or may be true, along the way they get twisted to meet the interests of the person communicating them.
Yes.
Let me come to this issue. I will tell you, I have right now talked to the former managing director of Mwenda, who was there when this opinion poll was commissioned, Alex Asimwe. I have talked to the country manager of Ipsos, Virginia, who participated in this research. I have talked to the editor of Monitor concerned, Don Wanyama. I have talked to the executive editor of the Monitor, Malcolm Gibson. I have talked to sources I cannot reveal here who have been involved in this story. So I'm going to give you a picture based on, right now, not a conclusive, but a very good investigation. I can say now, I can speak with 85 to 90% confidence of what happened. Monitor commissioned an opinion poll. Here there could be just a mistake of interpretation by Yasin Mugerwa to say commissioned. Technically they did not commission it, but I will explain why. What happened with Monitor is that Monitor commissioned Ipsos to do an opinion poll. Ipsos did it, and this opinion poll leaked to the other newspapers.
And this year, this was?
Last year.
2013,
yes. 2013. 2014 towards the end.
Yes.
When it leaked, Mont had a grievance. He said, we commissioned you to do this work. The results should have been monopolized by us, exclusive to us, but now they have leaked to other newspapers. But Monta also went ahead and hired Wakida to do an opinion poll, which gave Museveni a commanding lead of, I think, something like 56%. This gives him
57.
So Ipsos said, okay, next time we are doing an opinion poll, every quarter Ipsos does an opinion survey of Uganda. You Monta people can give us questions. We can include them in our regular quarterly opinion poll. And we call it a match good. It's like when in the newspapers they give us an advert and you publish an advert and there are mistakes in it resulting from your own design as a newspaper. The company advertising, let's call it MTN or Crane Bank, they can say, look, this is the advert is not what we really wanted. There are mistakes here and there. You reprint it. We call it a match good. So also Ipsos said, okay, we will do a match good for you. So in technical terms, direct technical terms, Monta did not commission this opinion poll, but Monta did submit questions in a quarterly opinion poll. Ipsos does and puts these questions there. This is confirmed by documentary evidence, by first of all my interviews with Alex and Virginia and the information, the exchange of emails that were given to me. Do you get it? So the second thing, when these results came out, they were sent by the second questions were going to be submitted. The managing editor at that time, Don Wanyama, met with a few people. They got the same questions they had asked the previous time, modified one or two things, and gave them to Ipsos. When Ipsos produced this result, it was sent to Wanyama. Wanyama is on leave. He forwarded them to Henry Cheng. Henry Cheng as Yasin Mugerwa, who is one of the best journalists at the Monitor.
Yes, true.
Perhaps the best journalist coming out, I think he should even go to the Independent, because that's where serious journalism is done.
That's for another day.
Yes, that's for another day. But then the story came out. Now, if you go and look at the data set And this is what people should do, that Ipsos used. If you interview the researchers of Ipsos who did this work, there was no Ipsos. They were doing their regular survey.
Let's stay
Do you
away.
get it?
Let's
So
stay away
the
now
claims,
from- yes,
the claims
that
that it has been paid for,
doctored and
yes,
and all
that
that.
Wanyama
Yes.
has been fired because of this.
No,
even
that's something
even
else.
Malcolm
We'll-
Gibson
yes.
himself told me, the
Yes.
executive editor, that first of all, this allegation that it had been paid for or the results doctored, they are even beginning. He's just beginning an investigation.
Let's discuss the other issue that is coming on the table, which was raised by several people, including Wafula Gutu and other opposition leaders, was the research done, say, on Kampala. You know, and I don't want to believe that the report was doctored. I'm basing on the facts presented to us right now by the research. So you have a poll carried out in Kampala, and President Museveni gets 44%, Lukwago gets 15%, and Mama Mbabazi is 7%, Rebecca Kadaga 6%, Norbert Mao 5%, Kizza Besigye 4%. Would you believe those statistics?
Why not?
In the current setting in Kampala, if you and I walked around Kampala and picked 100 people, do you believe of 100 people, only 4 people would actually vote for Besigye in 2016?
Because
oh, no, sorry, if an election was
you
held
see,
today.
Because I think
Is that what you actually
Maurice,
believe?
let me explain it to you this way. It would be a very dangerous and counterproductive exercise if the opposition or other people refuse scientifically collected data in order to satisfy their own hopes and dreams, biases and prejudices. If you think that this poll does not reflect the expressed opinions of the people that were polled, you must either go into the way the data was collected, identify loopholes and present them to us, in which case, me as Ipsos,
Yes.
just give us all the data.
Yes.
That is one. 2, you should be able to produce evidence that it was doctored. It cannot just be an accusation made off the street.
Yes.
Or 3, you must demonstrate that the methodology used, the sample size and collection of this data was wrongly designed for it to be able to produce a representative opinion poll. Do you see? But we cannot reject the results of a scientific poll without exposing the weakness or the incompleteness of the opinion survey or the wrong things involved in the way the questions were asked. No. And I think that has been the weakness of the opposition. They retreat to anecdotal stories. I know, it's very... Do you know how many people live in Kampala? They have said about 2 million people.
That's those who reside here, because we
Yes,
have about
yes, 2
4.5
million.
who actually
So,
work here.
let me tell you,
Yeah.
if you go to a bar among these frustrated elites of Uganda, you are likely to find the 18 out of 20 people shouting slogans against Museveni and declaring that he should
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Don't use that as for you to conclude that therefore Museveni is hated. What you
Andrew,
do
we have
is
seen
an
protests
impartial...
here in Kampala,
Yes.
against for regime change and against some of the rulings that have gone for the NRM. We have seen people rally at several places here within the city for the opposition, whether it's for Lukwago or Besigye. That's another question. We have seen a demand for change within the same city here in Kampala.
Can I ask you a
And
question,
tell me
follow-up question?
4 over 100 people would vote for Besigye?
So
okay,
can I?
let's total.
No,
Let's make the
it's okay.
totals.
It's okay. It's okay.
15
It's okay.
for
It's okay. I just
Lukwago.
want to
Yes.
expose that thinking.
Yes.
So each time there has been a protest of walk to work, how many people assemble on the streets to demonstrate?
It depends on the numbers. you
Yes,
look at.
but on
Because
average, what is the highest
Let-
number you think came up on the Kampala streets?
it depends. The time.
No, let's
at the
say it
height
depends.
of walk to work,
Yes.
you probably had even 1,000 people. Who
Okay,
used this.
1,000 people.
Yes.
Let me multiply your figure by 10 and say 10,000. What is 10,000 as a percentage of 2 million? 10,000 is 0.5%.
Yes, but
so
you see-
so is zero. In other words, the people who showed up to protest against Museveni,
Yes.
even at the highest estimate of 10,000, even if we made them 100,000,
Yes.
they would still be 5%.
The national
So in other words,
responded- yes.
please, Moses,
Yes.
first listen to me
Yes.
carefully
Yes.
before you keep your breath.
Go on.
It means therefore that if you're in Kampala, even if the opposition, if you calculate a table of people in the opposition,
Yes.
whether it's Amama, right now considered an opponent of Museveni, Mao, Lukwago 15%, Besigye 4%, it comes 30%. If you get 30% of 10% of 30% demonstrating, 30% of Kampala is 600,000,
Yes.
right? Even if you got 30% of those to demonstrate, this city would be paralyzed. So the anti-Museveni sentiment in Kampala is very strong. And Museveni doesn't even have a majority in Kampala, according to opinion poll. He has only 44%, meaning that 56% of this city, the majority, of course, that is an overwhelming majority in any other, is opposed to the president.
All right.
And the opinion poll reveals that.
Andrew, we must end this. I would go on and on this discussion. We
But
must
it's
end it.
obvious.
And that was Newsnight.